Hey, my name is Scott Engler. I'm a author, coach, and speaker on contemporary job search strategies, career development, business development, and transitioning in your career. And I'm doing something really exciting for me, and hopefully you guys. I'm doing 30 days of taking different job seekers or people that are really trying to advance somehow in their career. I'm taking their questions and answering it on video. So without further ado, I'm going to start with the first one. This is from Debbie in Eugene, and she said and asks, Scott, I've been going on many different interviews recently, and I find that I tend to get really nervous during the interview. As a result, I don't always get to say what I felt would have been best during the actual interview. Upon recently being declined for a position, one of the hiring managers even recommended that in the future I should elaborate more on some of my relevant experience. I know this is true, but I sort of freeze up during the actual interview and forget to do it. How do I get over this anxiety? Well, Debbie, that is a great question. So, the first thing that I believe from my own experience in job searching and the clients I work with is to remember that the person or people interviewing you are human beings. And the reason I'm saying that is that you are having a conversation and you have the job person being interviewed just as much power and choice over moving forward with that job as they do, right? You could turn down a job and they could hire you or not hire you. You have just as much freedom. And I think we forget that being interviewed is like we feel like we don't have any power or control and we get really, really anxious. And it's like, this is just a process. And I know it's a lot easier said than done, but it really helped me to remember that I could turn down the interview too, you know. I have the right to ask them questions about the position as well. I know some people have different format and style, but like the main point is that this is really to figure out. It's a conversation to figure out if it's going to be a mutually good fit. And when I was able to do that, it helped me out a lot. So that's the first thing. The second point I wanted to make, and there's a lot of things I could say to Debbie's question, but I just took a few notes. Aligning yourself with the company or people that you're going to be working for. And I can't tell you, when I started to really do this, when I really started to take the time working with somebody else to bullet point or clarify what I really wanted, what kind of companies I actually wanted to work for instead of just like desperately trying to take anything that I could get, the results were miraculous. Like I got offered different jobs. I even took one, it was like a freelance job. I got offered different jobs from the actual interview I went in for. People were actually, I had a few CEOs that were like, felt very tempted to actually change their rules to hire me on. This was when I was like applying for like a clinician position. But anyway, my point is not only did some miraculous things happen as a result of me really shifting to make sure that I was aligned, but the actual interview itself was so much more fluid. I'd done my research before. I just went in like one human being to another. Like, how could I help your organization? Do I believe what your organization believes? What are some similar experiences and things that I've done for other companies or throughout my career or throughout my education that would really match up with this? So when I was really able to look at that and align that, I found that, as I was saying, the results were not only miraculous, like, I don't know many people getting offered other jobs than the one they go in for, but to answer Debbie's question, it made things a lot more comfortable for me. I was able to kind of, put myself in their shoes and see more eye to eye rather than just like feeling really stiff and nervous. And it's like, let's just have a conversation. And I wasn't so attached to the outcome. I just wanted to go in and have a good interview, and really I respected that person or that organization a lot. And so for me, it was just a good experience to really meet somebody new and looking at it as like good practice, at the end of the day. So those are a few things that I really think could help, alleviate some of that anxiety. The last point I will make for her question is, and I've heard this from tons of different hiring managers. I ask them directly, and people, in recruiting, you could follow up. If you get nervous, you could always email after and say, hey, so and so, you asked me this question and I totally forgot during the interview, but I wanted to clarify that I actually did do X, Y, and Z back in 2012 for this organization. So I forgot to mention that, but I really thought, you might want to know that because you asked me that. So people don't mind that. And again, they're human beings too. You don't think that hiring managers have had to be interviewed at one point to get to where they are. And you don't think that they know that candidates get really nervous. So just keep that in mind. They understand, you want to be the best, do the best you can to be comfortable and confident in the interview. But I think the main takeaway is even if you do freeze up, then you could always follow up afterward with an email and just let them know. You don't have to say, oh my God, I was so scared, but just say, hey, you asked me this question earlier. I wanted to elaborate and expand, with my answer, and then you go into it. So I hope that's helpful, and looking forward to do many more of these. If you do have a question that you want to ask, I'm still taking more. So feel free to send them, email them to me at buildingyourownbrand@gmail.com. Once again, that's buildingyourownbrand@gmail.com. Take care.